The Virgin who founded a town, the true story of the Purísima of Punchana. Borja, a small riverside village set on the left bank of the mighty Marañón River, at the entrance of the feared Pongo de Mansericha, once known as Mancharichipunku, the Gate of Fear. Its palm-thatched houses swayed with the wind. Families lived from the river, from fishing, and from trading with nearby settlements. But those years were marked by tension, night attacks, and conflicts with the Huambisa and Mena tribes. The people of Borja resisted as long as they could, but the day came when they could endure no more. Around 1880, 20 families, the Torres, Zambrano, Rios, Nunez, Rodriguez, Lozano, Teco, and others, made a painful decision to abandon Borja. They gathered the little they owned: bundles, food, chickens, plantains, tools, and above all, the image of their patroness, the Purísima, a standing figure, hands together, without a crown, wrapped in a blue mantle. They walked along the village trails toward the banks of the Marañón. They did not wander aimlessly through the forest. They knew their direction. The river would be their only escape. The canoes waited at the shore. The men had adapted a wider boat, reinforced it, and built a small roof made of wood and palm leaves. Inside, they placed a wooden box barely 1.20 meters long, lined with cloth and dried leaves. There, they carefully laid the image of the Purísima to protect her during the long journey. 4 women accompanied her, 2 on each side, watching over her. Around them, children, elders, and fathers carried what little they still had. And so the journey began. First up the Marañón River, then across the vastness of the Amazon. It lasted many hours, days. They rode through storms, mosquitoes, floods, and freezing dawns. The boats were loaded with families, bundles, chickens, and bananas. When they reached Iquitos, hope turned into tension. The local inhabitants did not welcome them. They shouted, gestured, and signaled for them to leave, perhaps fearful of the arrival of so many families. Even so, the people from Borja did not retreat. They continued their way along the Nanay. They found a stretch of low forest along the banks of the Nanay River, about 3 kilometers from Iquitos. The place was full of small rodents called Punchanitas. That is why some began to say, "Let's go to Punchana." They built huts, cleared land, and organized gardens. Not all of the local indigenous groups were friendly. Stories say that the Iquito people did not welcome them warmly. 5 years passed, 5 years of struggle, planting, building, sickness, and hope. It was not until December 8th, 1885, that they celebrated, for the first time solemnly, the Feast of the Purísima, the very same image they had brought from Borja. That day marked the birth of what would one day become the district of Punchana. Over the decades, that devotion, which had begun with a small group of families from Borja, became the cultural heart of Punchana. The famous Cabazone, Oz, big-headed figures, were born then, not as mysterious beings, but as the group leaders, men and women who organized the gatherings, prepared food with river bounty like sarapatera, a type of fish, chicha, a fermented beverage, and corn fritters. Music was also enjoyed during the vigil for the Purichita, as the locals affectionately call her, and of course the processions that keep the Feast of the Immaculate Conception alive. For some years, the villagers celebrated their patron saint almost in silence, in gatherings that one had to discover by asking around, walking, listening for the songs that drifted from between the wooden houses. Until, in the 60s and 70s, the parish brought them together in a brotherhood, and that tradition remained as firm as a lupuna tree trunk. Today, more than 140 years later, the Purísima remains the invisible bridge between 2 towns, Borja, where it departed, and Punchana, where it was reborn. Because Punchana wasn't founded by conquerors or authorities, but by the faith of an Amazonian people who chose not to forget their roots. The true story of the Purísima doesn't end. It continues to be written every December, in every vigil, in every traditional dance, in every promise. Thus Punchana was born, between faith, river, and memory.